GIC is a global in-house center, which is basically is a company-owned offshore talent platform. It provides strategically integrated businesses and technology capabilities. Historically, large enterprises have been using GICs such as Fidelity, Tesco, Target as what used to be known as captive centers, but that has now evolved into a GIC or a global in-house center, right? And they were doing it to leverage the global talent pool in countries like India, Philippines, the Eastern Bloc. But India has been sort of on the forefront from a technology point of view. What started as a way to execute low maintenance, low impact work, transactional work, has now started to evolve. And that's the reason why the whole concept of the GIC has come to the picture, which is a bit more strategic to the global organization. The state of GICs actually is very good in India, right? Because companies are starting to realize that you can unlock a lot of potential with the GICs. Certain companies are using them for R&D centers, certain companies, it's gone much beyond the whole transactional nature of things. Organizations actually are using them for doing implementation work. So I would say the state of GICs, especially in India, it's in a good place because the talent is available, and to be honest, it's growing. It's finding the right talent. I think the other issues that GICs face are, it's meant for these massive companies, right? You're talking about they need to build their own infrastructure, they need to have their own big building, etc. Because it just doesn't make sense. The economies of scale just don't fit. They're employing upwards of 5,000-10,000 people. All of a sudden, when you're employing that many people, it makes a lot of sense to have a GIC. But the reality is, a lot of the smaller players can't afford that, and hence their only option is outsourcing, which comes with its own set of challenges. So the ideal situation that everybody wants to be in is to have their own controlled, their own offshore unit, right? But it's just not practical for a lot of companies. A GIC is when a company is actually coming and doing their own setup, which means they have to own everything from the legal structure, from the capital intensity, they have to put in the money for the infrastructure, etc. Often they have to bring in expats to build in the whole, to run the show. And then finally, it's also about the way the reporting process, the financial process, all of that. Everything becomes your own responsibility. So this is exactly where the whole managed GIC concept comes in, which is something that we have built over the last 10 or so years. It's a format that brings the strategic benefits of a GIC to companies of all sizes without the risk and hassle of having to own your own offshore operations. Let's say if I want to set up something for only 5 people, right? Okay, but it doesn't make sense for me to fly in an expat for 5 people. It doesn't make sense for me to open up an Indian entity for 5 people. It probably doesn't make sense for me to start procuring infrastructure for 5 people. What am I to do? Well, this is where the managed GIC comes in, is because Systems Plus being an IT company, we're able, and us having this platform, we're able to fundamentally give the same benefits to anyone who, big or small. So we pick up the people from the market based on your requirements, right? We house them as part of our team, but they work solely for you at your direction and at your discretion. Hence you can leverage their skills across the board, right? It's not about, hey, I need a .NET developer, now there's a rate card. That doesn't exist. I need a developer which can do multiple things, and by the way, I can retrain them, etc. It's all up to me, the organization, as to how I want to run the person. It's my own employee. It's just that this is a mechanism for me to not have to invest very heavily into something which is much larger. Think about it. What is the most important thing for a startup? They want skills and they want IP protection, which the managed GIC gives. Now let's look at a conglomerate, right? What are their key pain points? Their key pain points is managing multiple vendors, managing multiple skills, getting the right skills in time, managing a large portfolio, and finally just not having the control to do it all. So what a GIC allows them to do is have it all under their umbrella, right? And manage it and run it exactly the way they want to. Now, imagine a large organization, despite it being large, doesn't want to do something big, but they want to do 30, 40 people. Now, it doesn't make sense for them to set up a GIC, but it does all of a sudden start making sense to do it and manage GIC, because you get all the benefits of doing it your way at the right cost, and really no vendor management also, right? It's because it's really in the end extension of your team, it's your people. So even a large company or large organizations, global organizations, can also get the benefit of managed GIC. Let's take an example of demand or SFCC. We at Systems Plus have an SFCC practice. Now imagine a customer wants to build their own captive of a SFCC. Now building the captive, it does take time, right? Once it's there, it runs very smoothly, but it does take a little bit of time. But maybe the customer is in a big rush to get certain things going. So what they can do is they can leverage on our SFCC team, who will start running things, will start getting issues resolved. In the meantime, we can build parallelly the permanent team for the customer, which then eventually gets transitions into the projects or into whatever the case may be what the customer wants, and our team steps out. And that's sort of the beauty of how seamlessly this whole thing can work. Because in the end, Systems Plus is an IT company. We have a lot of IT skills across the board. So wherever that cross leveraging can happen, we definitely pass that on to our customers. So the GICs from a maturity index, it can fall actually anywhere. I would say right now they're being used a lot more as global delivery centers. So it's a lot higher on the maturity index than what things started off as. Some actually do use innovation centers, but I wouldn't say that that's the norm. So hence I would put it a little bit below the innovation center area. But the beauty of the GIC, or the managed GIC especially, I should say, is that it actually works for any size company. So hence the maturity of the company doesn't matter, right? You can be a startup and use it as your innovation center, or you can be a huge conglomerate and use it as just a pure transactional center. So that's the beauty of the managed GIC.